Being a Melbourne girl visiting Sydney, I've caught the tram to Surry Hills to visit an architect who has built a very interesting new project in a really gritty inner city area. Angelo, how do you design a building to fit so differently into this kind of environment?
Well, the first thing I think we do is to try not to do something that stands out, actually. What we try and do is work with what's here and try and weave something into the environment out of the things that already exist.
So it's a real contextual study of what's going on around it.
And there are things that are worthwhile to consider and there are things that are not. And so the most important thing is to be a good judge. It's about looking at what people love and trying to offer it back to them. Jill, I hope you like what we've done because here it is.
Not what I expected. Can you show me?
Let's go.
I really like the raw concrete.
With concrete comes the vulnerability of it being too boring, in a sense. And we want to make things that are not just concrete. They have form and they have shadow. So the materials we use are the material that you see, but then there's all the shadow and the light that hits it.
Well, I notice as you walk past the building that it actually shifts. It's got quite a lot of movement in the facade.
I thought it would be beautiful to have triangle screens. The triangles offer an illusion that you can see much more than you actually can.
One of the things about building in this kind of environment is what do you do on your main street, what do you do on your secondary street? And I think you've been really generous here on this secondary street. It's got a lot of detail.
There's always a struggle as to what you offer. We try and offer as much as we can everywhere. And bike racks, a beautiful entry, composed areas that enable people to kind of think that, yep, we're coming home. It's very important that even servicing needs to be beautifully put together and that entries aren't lowered in their importance but not overly heightened either, because people don't need an entry to their house to be this sort of public
No,
gesture.
it's quite quiet.
It needs to be discreet.
And recessive and discreet. Angelo, it's really unusual to step into an environment like this, which is no applied finish. It's all concrete. It's really, raw.
Well, that has a lot to do with the client brief and how they brought an idea to us, which was to try and create something that had an integrity from the beginning to the end. Concrete is one theme, but there are other themes that have integrity in this development. One is landscape, or understanding of the relationship between urban life and landscape. For instance, we've brought landscape into this space.
I can see that you've done that, and that little glimpse of something that's quite enticing beyond there. I can see green, which I would really love to go and see.
Well, let's do that.
This is really unusual. I really was expecting a courtyard that either we walked into or that was kind of claimed by the residents. But this is like a galleria where it's open to the courtyard and you've given it to the community that live in the building.
There's nothing worse than walking through a hermetically sealed environment to get to your home. And there's something rather beautiful about seeing your home through a garden.
I think Angelo's created something quite special here for you. What was your brief to him?
Well, I have to say we weren't really prescriptive with the brief. We wanted it to be very much a collaborative process and to see what Angelo would bring to it. Obviously, Angelo is a very talented architect and we wanted to give him the opportunity to come up with something quite unique, which he has.
I really love the touch of the edible gardens that you've put on the roof here. This is a place that's obviously for the whole community of the building.
That was a really important aspect for us of the building. It was having a beautiful communal area and having a space, not only to get outside and get some sunshine, but as a space where people can kind of meet their neighbours and have that real sense of community in the building.
Having seen right through, I think this is a very unusual outcome for this kind of building. Did you and your client share the same vision?
Yes, I think what we did was work closely together to create a collaboration that gives you what you saw today.
And really supported the intent.
They did, and I think that's rare in a client to support the architect's intent.
With so many people wanting to live in the inner city, the developers here could have just done something ordinary, but instead, they've chosen to back good design. I think there needs to be a lot more of that.